All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to take a look under the hood of what a living, breathing blockchain ecosystem really looks like. We're going to see what's actually being built, what's being paid out, and what's being launched right now. So you might be wondering, what does that all add up to? Well, it's not just one thing. It's this vibrant mix of rewards, of finance, and some serious future building, all happening at the same time. It's a lot of moving parts, so let's dive in and see what's going on. Okay, first things first, let's talk about maybe the most tangible part of any ecosystem, direct rewards and payouts that are happening as we speak. This is where you see value flowing from these projects straight back to the people who support them. What we're seeing is just this constant flow of value, It's coming from project treasuries and landing right in the wallets of holders and participants. And this isn't just theory, it's happening every day. And that creates this really powerful feedback loop. Here's a perfect example. The Golden Snekes project just dropped their bank payout. And what's really cool here is they're not just sharing ADA, they're even sharing a little bit of Bitcoin. Now that's a small detail, but it tells you a lot. It shows their treasuries are diversifying and they're sharing that value right back with everyone. Over at Mekka Labs, the momentum is just building and building. They just celebrated their first ever mining rewards, and they're not slowing down one bit. They're already scaling up, with 16 more miners coming online this week alone. And if you want to get a sense of the scale of the engagement we're talking about, the Necro League is putting more than 3,000 ADA on the line for their latest event. That's a pretty significant prize pool, and you do that when you want to get a ton of people involved. Now, here's the really clever part about how they've set this up. It's not just some simple lottery. They guarantee that every single pack wins something. By creating all these different reward tiers, they make sure everyone feels included, which, is a fantastic way to get broad participation. All right, so that activity is crucial, and it feeds right into the more complex but absolutely vital world of decentralized finance, or DeFi. This is really the engine room, where the core financial plumbing for the whole ecosystem is being built. So you've got projects like Fluid Tokens, and they're seeing this constant stream of loans on their platform, and they're growing fast. They're aiming for an ambitious $2 million in total value locked. And in DeFi, that TVL number, well, it's kind of everything. It's a key measure of trust and utility. Hitting that target is a huge sign of health. But what's really important here is their focus on security. They're not just letting any token onto their platform. They've set up these clear, strict rules. You need deep liquidity, and you need a decentralized price oracle. Why? Because that's how you build a platform that's robust and trustworthy for everybody. Meanwhile, you've got other projects that are just, they're setting their sights incredibly high. There is no ambiguity here at all. Strike Finance is flat out saying they want to take over the entire perpetuals market and become one of the biggest dApps in the world. That's a huge competitive space. And of course, they've got a plan to get there. They're rolling out a really powerful set of features. They're designed to pull in serious trading volume by letting liquidity providers act as market makers, keeping fees super low, and, get this, allowing almost any asset to be traded. But look, all this new tech is kind of useless if no one knows how to use it, right? That's where other parts of the ecosystem come into play. Projects like Wisdom are jumping in, focusing on education, and turning these really complex user manuals into easy, bite-sized courses. So, beyond finance, some teams are thinking even bigger. They're not just building the applications, they're building the fundamental infrastructure that's going to power the next generation of applications, not just on Cardano, but maybe even beyond. So after a summer of just heads down building, the veteran CNFT Tools team, and these guys have been around for 5 years, they announced they're tackling a massive challenge, turning all that chaotic noise from social media into structured, usable data. They're calling this whole concept proof of voice, and it's basically a system that's designed to track influence, trends, and engagement, to actually quantify public attention in a way that developers can then build on top of. And their philosophy here is absolutely key. It's not about chasing the latest hype, it's about creating the foundational tools, the rails, as they say, that other builders can use to create their own stuff and ride whatever trends come next. And this is where you see the true power of that kind of infrastructure. The exact same data layer can power completely different things. You could get a speculative platform like SocialDex, basically a stock market for attention, and at the same time, a serious analytics tool like Koldano for ranking influencers by their real impact. Of course, building infrastructure isn't just about code. Teams like Crawju who are reinforcing the human and the security side of things. They're publicly introducing their team members and upgrading their wallets to multisig for way more security. That stuff matters.
Okay, so this is all happening in the digital space, which is great. But now let's see how all this tech is breaking out into the physical world. This is where the blockchain really starts to prove its utility with real-world impact. And this is a major milestone. Trivolve Tech has successfully launched its forensic management system on the mainnet. And it's not for some small crypto project. This is for institutional use, specifically for a state government in India. And what's so critical to understand here is the scale. This is not some little pilot program. We're talking about a single system that's expected to process over 10,000 transactions in its first month alone. That is real, sustained, enterprise-level use of the blockchain. So, when you put all these pieces together, you're not just seeing one thing happening. You're seeing this multi-layered ecosystem that is just firing on all cylinders, from direct community payouts to sophisticated DeFi, all the way to foundational data layers and even enterprise-level government solutions. You know, this incredible diversity of activity shows a system that's not just growing, but it's evolving in so many different directions at once. It's developing depth and breadth at the same time, which really, it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about as we watch it all unfold.